Dear Pastor, I know that everyone are experiencing different kinds of hardship at their own level. But most of the time, it seems like life is unfair for me. From M. I don't know what's M.
Just M. As in caps lock M.
Yeah. And that's just like what you said. It's not in a form of question.
Yeah. But it's a seeking concern.
Something that is
bothering.
Bothering about the life of the person. Like the way he see life is that it is unfair for him or her.
So
And maybe the person wants to ask something on how he can maybe change how he sees life.
yeah. Alright. Okay, dear Pastor. So everyone experience hardship, but this certain maybe Ate M, I'll just call her Ate M, is experiencing, I believe, the peak point or the highest point of unfairness in life. So life is unfair, in short, for her. Then why?
I appreciate the first part of your letter. I know that everyone is experiencing different kinds of hardship at his or her own level. And it's good that you're aware that we are in a great controversy. Okay? There's a great controversy going on, and there's a sort of hardship, and Christians are not exempted of it.
Yes.
And you have your own share of this hardship. And so, but most of the time, it seems like life is unfair for me. And so, it's a reality that each person has his or own perspective in life.
Yes.
Okay? And so, it is because each one of us has his or her own worldview, your own view of life actually. And let me explain that in a worldview, there are three things that are involved. Number one, our belief.
Believe.
Okay, our belief. And then, number two, our value system.
How you value.
Okay, our value system. And then number three, our behavior. Okay? But it seems to me that you are in the level of the value or your attitude that life seems to be unfair.
Unfair.
That life seems to be unfair. And so, first of all, viewing life in this way is related with what you believe. Okay? Your belief system. And so, our belief system actually is related with what we think, our mindset. What do you have in mind?
Yes.
And then, what actually are your basis or your foundations of what you believe?
In
So that's
psychology, it is like the attitude, the thought that you want.
Oh, the
right?
attitude
Yes,
actually is that something that
you already act the behavior.
yeah, the behavior is
not
different.
different.
Behavior actually is the outcome of
The
our
outcome of the attitude.
First of all, we must have our belief system. On the basis of our belief system, sometimes the standard, there are two actually standards in our belief system.
Yeah.
Okay? The word or the world. There are just two bases in our belief system. It's either the word of God,
Word of God
or the world.
Or the world.
What the world thinks.
And by
So
the
how
world,
you see
oh,
life.
a lot of things. It could be the tradition, it could be the culture, it could be the belief of the world, it could be our for example, our peer.
Yeah.
Others are doing it, others are having that kind of thinking. So that's the way we
just adopt.
yeah,
We just
we
adopt.
adopt these things of the world. But if our belief system actually depends on the Bible, then perhaps our attitude will also be affected. And then it will be manifested on the way we behave. Now, for the wisdom coming from the Word of God, let me share a passage in the book of Romans chapter 12. And this is a very popular passage.
Yep.
Romans chapter 12 verses 1 up to 2. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service. And this is the point in verse 2. And be not fashioned according to this world.
Yeah.
Alright? Now, if our
Fulfill.
line of thinking is according to this world, then we might look at the things happening in our lives as unfair. It's unfair.
Yes.
I got a lot of share of this hardship and troubles. But you see, it says here, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, and ye may prove what is the good and acceptable and the perfect will of God.
Yeah.
And so, worldview actually, it depends on the kind of belief system that you have, what you value, and then it will be reflected in your behavior. And sometimes I consider this worldview as a kind of eyeglasses.
Yeah.
Okay? So, whatever is the shade of the eyeglasses that you wear, when you put it on, that's the kind of environment and the world
You
that
will
you
see.
can see.
You can see.
If it is black, if it is gray, if it is brown, so that's the kind of worldview that you have.
Transparent.
And so, that worldview actually depends on the system or belief system that you are actually making use of. Is it the word or is it the world? Talking about unfairness of everything that happened to us, if we are going to look at the experience of Jesus Christ, then we can see that the most unfair,
Yeah.
experience
Life
perhaps of a
experience.
man in this planet Earth.
It's Jesus.
But you see, things happen with and for a purpose. And in a Christian perspective, we know that things are happening to us because God actually is molding us.
Refine.
God refining us. He is trying to refine us and to mold us. It is for our development,
Character building.
character
Yes.
building, as we can say it.
Wow. So right now, if we will really see the world, not world, then really this world is unfair to everyone. But if we, based on the word, like what Pastor says, then we will see clearly that it is not just a mere factor of unfairness, seeing ourselves reflecting there, but it is way of God shaping us and refining our character. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's okay to experience difficulties. But DJ Dan, you have shared a question a while ago.
Yeah. Well, actually, a while ago, we are talking about
Discussing
something
about-
related to this now. When we say, I don't know your view about this, Pastor, but whenever we say life is unfair, is it, can we say that is it similar with saying that it is God who is really unfair?
Yeah.
Again, that's a very dangerous concept or idea. Okay, that God actually is unfair. It's a very dangerous idea, and shall we say description about God that He is actually unfair.
Yeah.
While you see, sometimes I'm saying when somebody, for example, died in the family, a tragic accident, and the confusion, perhaps because of sadness and loss, men tend to question and ask, why God?
Why God? Yeah.
Why? So
While you see, looking at the big picture, in the great controversy, according to the Bible, who actually is the one behind all human sufferings and even death?
yeah, fighting for us.
It's the enemy. It's Satan. And yet, because sometimes we've been blinded to our emotions, not knowing really what's taking place. But you see, according to the Bible, God is not against us.
Yes.
God is with us. And God is love.
Wow.
And yet, when something negative happened to us, we accuse Him and we ask Him. Of which actually, in the great controversy issue, it's not Him, but it is the enemy of God that inflicts every suffering, and
Yes.
every actually bad things that's happening in our lives.
Yes.
Actually, in this situation, if we ask God and we think that God is unfair, it is us
Us.
who is being unfair with God.
Mhm.
Why accuse Him of something actually that is not responsible?
Actually, I asked that, Pastor, because for so many times I've been encountering people who ask that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever, and it is, I believe, right time for our people to have a correct mindset on that
Yes.
issue. There was a time where while I was speaking in a crusades, someone asked, if God is really, I mean, because they came from uh, a poor family, and she asked me, if God is really fair, why is it that we are experiencing this kind
This
of
kind,
problem?
yeah.
Yeah.
Why? And she even asked, why is it that I am not as fortunate as my neighbors?
Mm.
I'm really wondering, why is it that he is questioning those suffering that he is experiencing, and saying that it is God. So it is actually good that we can correct those mindset,
Yeah.
that we have to understand it carefully, that whenever we are experiencing those things, we have to know who is really responsible for what is happening to us.
Yeah. So, in connection to that question, Pastor, we have feedback from Miss Janelle,
Okay.
and this is her question, Pastor. Why do good people experience tragedies and traumatic event even they are faithful,
Mhm.
and some unfaithful people experience a good life?
Yeah. Again, I have the same answer to the question, that we should not forget that there is a great controversy that is going on. And in this great controversy, we cannot avoid. We are actually part of it.
Actually, we're the target.
Yeah. And in this great controversy, uh, we actually have to make decisions. For example, in every situation, in every incidents in our lives, we have to deal with it, and we have to make our choices. We have to make our decision, because it is true also that, for example, in one incident, one event in our lives, one event in, for example, in history, it could be that a person may have his or her own reaction, which is positive or negative, and our reaction in certain event or situation in life could be either negative or positive. And so we can also ask, why is it that in the same situation, two different persons could have two different perspectives? Okay? And the reality actually, and two different persons could have different perspective. They have different views. I do not know how they call it, diba? We have what we call yung mga those people who are looking at the positive.
Optimist, pessimist,
We have the optimistic, the optimist, and we have the
Pessimist.
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 Yeah.
Right? And I remember the song. I do not know how to say it in English, but it goes something like this. May panig na madilim ang buhay, ngunit may maliwanag naman. Sa dilim, ikaw ay matungo man, sa liwanag ka pa rin tumanaw. And so, if we are going to translate it in English, yes, there actually are darkness.
There's a
Yes.
dark and troubled
Okay.
side. I think
So,
that's
dark
okay.
and light.
Light.
But it is also true that while there is darkness, there is also light on the
It's-
other side
Yeah,
of it.
it's like, Pastor, there is always sunshine after the rain. There's
Yeah.
a rainbow after.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So actually, it depends on our mindset. It depends on our mindset. If our mindset is based on the Word of God, based on the love and the light coming from God, then there will always be light. Now, in our human nature, it's true that we have the tendency, sometimes we are being carried by the situation,
Yes.
yeah, sadness and disappointment sometimes like that. But it's but natural. Okay, it's but natural. It's a part of our growing.
Yep.
It's a part of our growing. But you see, in this situation in our lives, we can say that whatever happens to us, whether we look at life as full of darkness or light, it is a choice.
Mhm.
It is always a choice. And that's why the passage actually is saying, renew your mind. Renew your mind. If that's the kind of mindset that you have, that life is unfair, then you have to renew your mind. Transform. Transformation actually is called for in this passage. And how are we going to transform our mind? It's a matter of choice. It is, again, a matter of choice. That's why I used to say with my students, life is not a series of chances, but life
It is
is
not
a
by
series
chance.
of choices.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So life, we have a meaning of life. If the world says that life is unfair, this world of ours, then it's your choice. Life is a choice for us. So at the end, I believe that right now you see already, it's not an answer but the concern. And through the word of God, this view of yours will be able to have the bright view right now. So DJ Dan, what's
Yeah, actually, whenever someone is coming to me and asking about his or her life, like someone is telling me that his life is very, very problematic, I am always telling that person that if you will choose to think of it as a problem, it will really be a problem. But if you will look at it as a blessing, you will really be blessed.
yes.
Because everything that is happening to us will actually, just like Pastor said, it will mold us. It will help us to be developed as a person. So I hope and pray that at the end you are enlightened by our answers, and I hope and pray that you can share it to your friends and families. I hope you are enlightened and is given a new hope with this advice.
Yes, and at the end for that concern, we are very grateful, and also to Ate Janelle who was able to send another question for that. We had a feedback right now, and thank you, dear Pastor Julio Amaral, for sharing those words of encouragement, and also how we see the world, how we see our life based on the Word of God. And right now, we are going to have a short music break, and after that, please be mindful, we have some updates and greetings. So for those numbers that we were able to share to you and were able to broadcast a while ago, we are very willing to accommodate your greetings, birthdays, or any concerns. Awesome.
You're listening to Life Radio. Dear Pastor, the radio program that reaches out to people with problems and concerns and providing listeners words of wisdom from the Bible. Only here